Hi, I'm Kathleen Crowley. I'm the clinical supervisor for LifeWork Strategies EAP. I wanted to talk to you today about building positive relationships at work. I want to talk about how important they are. In all aspects of our lives, it's so important to have good, positive relationships, but it's most important at work if you want great results. So let's talk about that, but let's begin by defining what exactly is a positive relationship. And how do we build them and what to do when there's issues? Well, let's dig in. What is a positive relationship? It's really all about people and healthy relationships. Those people tend to listen to each other, communicate openly without judgment, and trust and respect each other. Trust, you're going to hear that a lot in the next few minutes. It's so important to relationships. Think about your positive relationships in your personal life. The same dynamics and rewards apply to work as well. Practice good communication skills, work collaboratively, set boundaries, promote respectful workplace practices, and learn about the connection between conflict resolution skills and positive relationships. All these cultivate positive relationships. And building trust is so important. You have to trust and support and encourage one another. This pyramid really describes what a relationship actually is built upon and how to get to results. And we're going to talk about each of these layers and how they build on each other. This is just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've seen the triangle before. You can't get to the next level. You can't advance to each level without mastering the first one or the next one. They each build upon each other. So with trust, let's talk about this. The relationship is really built on trust, isn't it? Its basis for everything is all about trusting each other. But what is it? It's about confidence that your peers' intentions are good. Starting out with that every time, starting out with the intention that that person walking through your door or approaching you has good intentions. The belief that there's no reason to be protective or careful around one another. It's the foundation of teamwork. It's the foundation of a positive relationship. It's built and it's never complete. Trust needs repair once in a while too. And when trust is broken, it can be rebuilt, but you have to circle back to all the basics around trust. It's never complete. You just have to take care of it and nurture it. It's all about being vulnerable, and that's difficult for most people. It takes time. It takes courage, but the results are well worth it. You have to admit your weaknesses and mistakes and ask for help around others. And if you master that, if you have trust with another coworker, it builds the positive relationship onto the next level, which is productive conflict. This among team members requires the trust, which is all about engaging, being unfiltered, and being passionate, but being able to debate. Even among the best teams, conflict will always be there because there's difference of opinions, there's different perspectives, and it can be uncomfortable. But when you can work through it and you can do it productively without fear, conflict is a positive thing because without conflict, we can't have growth. If I believe absolutely everything you say, or you have the same exact perspectives as I do, we'll never really grow and challenge each other, will we? So when we challenge each other in a respectful way, we have productive conflict. So now we've mastered trust, productive conflict, and now you can start to get commitment in the relationship. And that requires clarity and buy-in. And either you do or you don't. There really is no in between in a commitment. It has to be all in. You have to be trusting. You have to be able to share your different perspectives and have that productive conflict. But with commitment, it's all in. I'm all in this relationship. I want the same thing you do. I want to build together. I want to have results together. I want to build you up. I want to respect you. And I'm hoping you would do the same for me. So now we've got the trust, we've got the basis for our relationship, we've got productive conflict, we've got commitment. And now what we need is accountability. This demonstrates a willingness to confront difficult issues. It demonstrates ownership. I've owned my mistakes. I've owned this piece of the pie. I've owned this part of the project we're working on, and I'm taking full responsibility. And of course, in a relationship, the other person or the other team members have to do the same. You have to be held to a standard and you have to be accountable. And there's no fake in this either. You really got to be, again, all in. You got to be vulnerable. You got to admit your mistakes, but you have to be accountable for yourself. So all these will definitely result in your great results. Better working relationships offer productivity, creativity, and the joy of work can be yours. And all this translates into results. So what do you do when there's a problem? Well, you've got to identify it and you've got to own that in yourself. You've got to, again, do some self-reflection about what is it about the problem. Challenge your mental models of assumptions. Am I making any assumptions here? Do I need to clarify? Our mental models, our assumptions, shape how we act and account for how two people can observe the same event and describe it differently. We've all seen the picture where one person can see one thing and another person can see another. Does that mean that I'm wrong or that you're wrong? Or does it mean that we both have different perspectives on the same picture or on the same issue or on the same problem? So if I go back to that basis of our relationship and trust, where I'm going to always assume good intention from you, then I've got to also assume that your perspective can be as good as mine and that I might learn something from it. So rather than assume, you have to clarify. And there comes that productive conflict. You have to confront someone compassionately about their perspective so that you might be able to learn. Before we conclude, I think it's really important to talk about the idea of having that productive conflict, having the issues of seeing from a different perspective and owning, accepting what we cannot change about others, but how we can influence them. Or maybe we can't even influence somebody, but we've got to be able to accept that we can't. So how are we going to change the way we deal with that person moving forward so that we can establish those results? Or how are we just going to be able to sit with somebody's different perspective that maybe we don't agree upon? We have to remember to not base our value on the opinions of others. So if someone has an opinion of me, I can't place that value on myself. Again, that self-reflection piece is really important when it comes to building a positive relationship. And you have to understand that we're responsible only for ourselves. So we've got to take care of watching ourselves, looking at our mental models. What are we assuming in a relationship? What are we assuming about a problem or an issue that we identify? What is it about us? Look at us first. Look at yourself first before you go and make assumptions about somebody else. Think about that. Before you assume that someone's doing you wrong, or that someone's opinion does not matter, or that their perspective is wrong, look at yourself. Why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel like their perspective is the wrong perspective? And if I'm really, really stuck there, then I have to challenge my own perspective and ask and clarify so that I can get buy-in. And then when I understand that maybe I've made some assumptions, or maybe that person's perspective is as equal, or maybe even sometimes better than my own, that's just only going to help my relationship at work. Try not to be defensive. Always remember the pyramid. Own and embrace your differences. It's important. It's how we grow.